The first humans in India and exploring the origins of Indian civilization. There is a story in the Hindu tradition that talks about Manu, regarded as the first man in the Puranas. It talks of the time when Manu is drinking water from a pond and he encounters a fish in his palms when he scoops up water. The fish tells him how scared it is that it will be devoured by the bigger fish and urges him to raise it separately until it becomes bigger. In return, it forewarns Manu of the coming deluge. Manu then built a boat which he entered when the flood drowned everything, and the fish steered the boat atop a mountain. So Manu was saved from the disaster, and with his wife, who appeared out of the ocean water, went on to propagate the human race. The resemblance of this Puranic myth to Noah's Ark may not be a coincidence. Many cultures across the globe have documented a similar catastrophe in their mythology. In the present context, this is important because many historians believe this event to have occurred in 3102 BC, after which Manu headed the human race as their first great king. But keeping the grey blend of history and mythology aside, if we focus solely on facts, we uncover a different story that may be patchy and rough around the edges, but can at least be corroborated by solid evidence. Multiple excavation sites across India leave no doubt that this subcontinent had its own Paleolithic men. Cruel tools made of quartzite, a specific type of rock, have been discovered in many parts. These men and women are likely to have led the same Stone Age life as their counterparts on the other side of the world. They were nomadic tribes moving from one cave to another in constant fear of dangerous wild animals and hunting and gathering food as they went. Sources estimate these were stout, dark, curly-haired people to be of the Negrito race, and that they were far removed from any understanding of civilization. However, as evolution progressed and the future generations of these men and women stepped into the Neolithic age, things changed to an unrecognizable degree. The Indian Neolithic society seems to have made tremendous progress over their rock-wielding ancestors. These Neolithic people had a great talent for agriculture and animal domestication. The days of a vagrant lifestyle were thus over, and the age of settlements had begun. Though they had not yet mastered housing, they showed great signs of human evolution. They still lived in cave-like structures, but now their caves were decorated with stories in the form of paintings and engravings. They made pottery, clothes, carpentry, and even buried their dead in tombs known as dolmens. The aim was no more just survival, but community and communication. The Neolithic settlements at Burzahom, in Srinagar, in Jammu and Kashmir are the largest of the many settlements found across the subcontinent. Despite the discovery of many sites, the information we have on these is still quite limited, and is thus characterized as prehistoric, i.e. lacking in a documented record of events. But these archaeological findings are enough to let us know that even before the so-called civilizations came about, these people were quite sophisticated in their lifestyle, ushering in a new age. The transition through the ages was of course not a smooth one, but today there is little to no doubt that these Neolithic people were the ancestors of those who brought in the New Age civilizations. While even these New Age civilizations were massively different from our modern societies, they still had some peculiar aspects which made all the future progress possible. The use of metals turned out to be one of these aspects. The use of copper and iron came to be a significant factor in the ushering of the Indus Valley civilization. For a long time, almost until the 1920s, the existence of this civilization was completely unknown to us. What's more is when the mounds of Mohenjo-Daro in Sindh were discovered, the discoverers didn't even believe they were from the ancient era. That really suggests that these settlements didn't have fancy architectural structures, but rather a city that bustled with trade and culture. The houses may not have been examples of aesthetically engaging architecture, but the planning of these settlements was immaculate to say the least. These cities flourished on the banks of the Indus River and thus came to be known as the Indus Valley Civilization. The fertile soil made agriculture quite a lucrative activity. Trade flourished, and the wealth in these cities grew. But unfortunately, the civilization was not immune to natural calamities and war. Some sources say that a massive flood in 2000 BC ruined the settlements beyond repair, and the civilization began to decline, finally disappearing around 1700 BC. On the other hand, some other sources approximate that this civilization was razed to the ground in a war somewhere in the 15th and 14th century BCE, and still others believed the civilization was around as late as 1300 BC. Whatever the cause, this civilization remains one of the boldest highlights in the history of ancient India. The people. Though the settlements began flourishing at the banks of the river, they eventually covered a lot of ground in present-day India and Pakistan. Harappa and Mohenjo-Daro, now located in Pakistan, and Dholavira and Banawali, located in India, were the biggest of the cities of this remarkable civilization. It's interesting to note that the race of the people in the Indus civilization remains largely unknown. Multiple theories link these people to Elamo-Dravidians, the early Munda tribe, and even to the Vedic Aryans, but each of these theories leaves significant gaps in the big picture. Thus, the current understanding is that people of all races inhabited this civilization, though their genetic roots are yet uncertain.